Aloha! It's Jessica Oyanagi, the founder and owner of Bloom, and I'm here in my weekly heart-to-heart video to share my best tips with you for hiring team members for your business. So if you're looking to hire your first member, or maybe you've hired before but things didn't go so great and you're looking to find new team members, this is going to be the video for you. And if you've never watched one of my videos before, I love to share my feelings, thoughts, and tips on being a woman entrepreneur with you on YouTube. And if you find value in this video, I would love it if you'd hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get to it. So I have 3 general areas that I would like to cover in this video when it comes to hiring team members that are really aligned and energetically a good fit for you, your business, and even how you run your business, okay? So the first area I want to discuss is finding aligned team members, okay? And I cannot stress how important this is. I own 3 different businesses. All of these businesses are very, very different, right? In how we interact with and nurture our clients, how we show up, how we market these businesses, and how we deliver services in these businesses, okay? And no matter which business I have hired for, and I've hired for all of them, I have just found more and more that if you start out with a very, very aligned vision for who it is you're looking for, you're gonna be so much better off, right? Than if you're just kind of like flying by the seat of your pants, you know, hiring in a hurry, in a rush because you're panicked and you really need the help, right? This part of the process, I think, is the most important process, right? Because if you end up hiring someone that's not aligned with you or your business vision, then you may have to end up letting them go, right? Which means all the time you invested in training them and bringing them on board and starting them down that road is going to be a waste. And this has totally happened to me before with several employees that I have hired for different reasons. It just has not worked out. And if I'm really honest, the kind of red flags about these particular individuals were there from not even day one, but since probably from way before I even actually hired them. And these were times in my business, you know, when I was newer and the businesses were young and I was just desperate for help and to get anyone in the door. And I kind of decided after those few experiences that moving forward, I would have a much more refined process for hiring new team members. So I'm going to share those 3 areas that I recommend with you. And the first one is all about making sure you find a team member who's aligned with your vision for your business. So the first thing I'm going to recommend that you do before you even place an ad or start down the road of actually hiring someone is I'm going to tell you, and I say this in a lot of my videos actually, that I think time blocking is going to be a really great resource for you when you go to hire a new team member, okay? And it doesn't matter, you know, I have independent contractors that come in and just do very specific jobs for my businesses. I have employees, right, that are expected to be doing certain things on certain days at certain times every single week, right? And I've also made hires in my personal life that have absolutely freed up time and energy for me so that I can focus more on my businesses, okay? So it doesn't really matter what area of your business or your life you're hiring for. I highly recommend you start with time blocking. And that might seem like a very strange thing to suggest, but here's why, okay? Time blocking, and I have another video that shows you how I do time blocking, how I recommend you do it. And it was shown to me by another coach. You know, it's not something I invented. It's something I'm following. Another coach recommended to me. And time blocking, what you do is you actually track your time. I'm so sorry. I'm getting texts. So you're just gonna, I'm a real working gal here, people. You're gonna hear texts coming through on my computer, or my dog's barking because I work from home. So what I want you to do is if you want to watch that time blocking video, it's going to show you how to track your time, okay? You're gonna use color coding so that you know exactly where your time is going, okay? And one of the things I recommend is that you try as much as possible to make your schedule, your calendar as the leader, right, of your business, you should be doing mostly what I call green activities. That's what I color code them as, and that's money generating activities, okay? And that's gonna look very different for each business owner, okay? You're really gonna examine when you time block, what your zone of genius is. So like, what are your strengths, right? What are the things only you uniquely can do in your business that nobody else can do, okay? For example, one of my top 5 strengths in the Clifton Strengthsfinder Test. If you've never taken that test, highly recommend it. I'll put a link to that as well. My number 1 strength is strategizing, okay? So I love like, especially the beginning stages of launching a business and strategizing and being that visionary. Like that's my favorite thing to do is strategize, okay? And not everyone's gonna have that strength. But I know that some of my money generating activities that I'm doing, that I'm time blocking for, are going to include strategizing and being the visionary for my business, okay? I also know that communication is something that comes really naturally to me. And that's not the case for everyone, right? That's one of my strengths, and that's something I want to be spending time doing in my business because I love it. It comes naturally, it's a strength, and it does lead to sales for me and my businesses, okay? Those are just examples, right, of some of the strengths that I have that I'm making sure that I am focusing on and spending time in every day in my business. So for you, it's going to look totally different. You can take that StrengthsFinder test. Obviously, you probably already know yourself hopefully well enough to know, right, when you show up in certain ways in your business, what actually generates revenue and what moves the needle forward for your business and what helps it to grow. But doing this time blocking activity will help you see where your time is going. Right, and what you're gonna do from there, where the hiring comes in, where the fun part comes in, is that you're gonna look at those areas of your time blocking, right, that you're doing that you should not be doing, that anyone can do, not just you as the CEO of your company, right? And what you're gonna do is you're going to hire for those areas, okay? Those areas that can be done by anyone that you don't necessarily need to be doing, okay? And this might include things like bookkeeping, admin type work, like checking emails or getting back to clients, giving them a call back with simple basic questions. There's things that you don't necessarily need to do as a leader of your company. And so as soon as possible, if you can identify those areas, then you will know, right, the areas that you need to hire for. And those areas would be things that you don't like doing, might be more your weaknesses, or just are mundane that anybody could do, right? So start with identifying those areas through time blocking that you want to be hiring out for. Again, you want to make sure that you're focused in how you're hiring and the activities that you're hiring people for, right? So you're not just willy-nilly, I need help all over the place. Like, be very focused in the beginning before you even think about hiring on what it is you need this new hire to be doing. Now, this is December of 2022, so I do want to let you know that I'm going to be putting together a hiring workshop that I'm planning to publish in January of 2023. And that workshop will be exclusive to our CEO Circle members inside my company, Bloom, which is a women's business coaching community. So if you're looking for like a more in-depth and guided workshop experience to actually take you from A to Z through the hiring process, I would love for you to join us in this workshop. All of our workshops are on demand, they're recorded. So no matter when you join CEO Circle, if it's something you need help with, that workshop will be available for you. So just wanted to let you know about that. I'm very excited about that workshop coming up. I'm just looking at my notes here. The next thing you want to do is, once you figure out what your new hire is going to be doing, okay, you want to figure out a way to communicate, right, what it is you, not only the activities you want the person to be doing, but how you want them to show up, right? So this could be things such as like what your communication style is, the type of energy you have, even from morning to midday to afternoon, okay, when you want to be communicating with this person or people, how you want to show up with them. And the reason you want to kind of take inventory of these things is because when you go to post an ad to hire, you want to make sure these items are actually included in the ad. And it might seem kind of strange because you've probably seen Craigslist or Indeed ads for hiring. And they usually are just all about the tasks, right, that the employee has to do, how much the pay is, maybe hours, things like that, which are all great. But I want to encourage you to hire and give the candidates much more detail about who you are. So think about what you want them to be doing, like how you want to show up and interact with them, who you are, what your style of leadership is. That way, when you go to place the ad, you'll already have these details in mind. And so the last step of this number one tip that I have for you, I know this is kind of long, but I feel it's the most important, is when you actually go to place an ad, okay? If you're going on Craigslist or Indeed, I highly recommend Craigslist. Honestly, I've had way better luck with that than I have with Indeed. Or even just putting the word out on your social media or telling people that you're looking to hire is, I want you to take all the things we just talked about and I want you to put them in the ad, okay? So I've gotten the best response. Like I can't even believe the candidates that have come in from including a little bit of authenticity, right, in my post, not just about what they'd be doing from the day to day or when they're gonna work or what the pay range is, but like who I am, what my vision is, you know, who I'm looking for as far as the type of work ethic they have, how they show up, how I want them to integrate into my business. I think it's super important. It's a big step that a lot of employers miss, okay? So really, when you sit down to post that ad or to make that post on social media, think about who you are, what you want, the type of person you're looking for. Be careful, right? Because there are legal aspects to what you can and can't post in a hire. Like you want to make sure that you're being unbiased and you're being an equal employer, right? And you're fair to everyone. Like you can't be specific like about gender or obviously race or anything like that. But I think as far as like the type of expectations when it comes to work ethic, personality, energy, things like this, like, or just telling people and showing them who you are, oh my gosh, the candidates that are going to be attracted to you are going to be way, way more aligned, okay, than if you didn't include those things in your post. So that's very, very important. At least I think it is before you go to place those ads for employment. Oh, and one more thing I want to mention before we go to step number 2 is that, you know, a lot of women, I think, have a hard time asking for help and hiring help, right? And they think it's going to be this big expense. It's going to be a drain on my profits, right? But I'd really like you to think about hiring team members as more of an investment, right? Because when you're investing in hiring people, they're going to help you hopefully to produce more money, not only with the activities they're doing, but freeing up your time, right? So that you can actually grow your business. And you don't have to start out with hiring, 10 full-time employees. In all of my businesses, I started out with independent contractors first, who can do like part-time things, right, for me in my business that don't require an employee showing up at a certain place, certain time every day. And then I've worked into part-time employment, okay? And I actually don't even have any full-time employees yet at this point because I just don't need them. But just know that you don't have to come out of the gate, spending a ton on payroll. You can get the help you need. To be very surprised how many people are totally happy working part-time jobs or as independent contractors. So highly recommend you start that direction rather than going full blown and maybe not having it be a great return on your investment. Okay, now we're gonna talk about my second tip, which is making sure that once you have an aligned ad, right, or the word out, and you actually find someone to hire, that you really make sure that you take care of all of the legal steps and processes that you need to for hiring someone properly, okay? And I see a lot of women, some who are in my Bloom community, that don't take this really, really important step. And I just always advise that you have all your ducks in a row when it comes to legalities behind this stuff, because you really don't want the government or anyone or anything else catching up with you if you're trying to hire people under the table. And I don't know, I just have never done that. So I don't recommend it. So yeah, if it comes down to it and you find someone that you love, I would highly advise that you do things like set yourself up with a really great payroll company. Make sure you legally onboard them, right, with the federal government, with the appropriate, a lot of times, like I use a company called Gusto for payroll, and it sends out all the paperwork for them to fill out. So there are tools and resources for you out there. So you don't have to do all this on your own or by hand. There's lots of resources to help you onboard people legally. Also check with your state, find out what kind of legal requirements there are for you as an employer. If you're hiring an employee who's gonna have taxes taken out of their paycheck, your state might have rules surrounding benefits, like if they're working a certain amount of hours, like here in Hawaii, if you work at least 20 hours a week for an employer, they have to provide you with health insurance, okay? So disability insurance is pretty much almost, I think, in most states across the board, maybe I'm wrong, something that you have to have for employees, okay? Independent contractors, you don't have to have taxes taken out. There's no insurance required. That's a really great route to go if you're hiring, like I said, for example, I have a marketing assistant, okay, for Bloom, and she helps me to edit all my weekly social media videos. And these videos, she's awesome. Thanks, Kristen. And she's an independent contractor because she has a set list of what she's doing every week, and she can do it on her own time from her home with her laptop. Like, that's an independent contractor, okay, when they can come and go and work on their project as needed, versus an employee, right, who has to show up at a certain time in a certain place every day to do a job. So also be careful and make sure that the classification for the type of hire that you're making is correct, okay? I'm gonna check out my notes again here because I'm not that good with my memory. I always have a hiring contract in place, okay? So if you're looking to hire someone, you should have a contract of employment or an independent contractor agreement in place with them. And that's pretty much it for the legal requirements. I mean, if you want more in-depth details, and I can show you exactly what I have done, you can come join that workshop or get inside the CEO circle and check out that workshop that I recorded. But yeah, those are the basics. It's just to make sure that you're legally set up for success, okay? If you haven't registered your business, go back and do that first, okay? Because it's gonna help when you go through this entire hiring process. And at least in the state of Hawaii, they do pay attention, okay? When you hire someone and that paperwork gets filed like through your payroll company, I've gotten letters about like, okay, how many hours a week does your employee really work? And do they really need insurance or not? They follow up on this stuff, at least in Hawaii, and make sure that you're doing what you're supposed to be doing to protect your employees and your company. So yeah, get the legal stuff, get your ducks in a row. If you have questions, you can DM me, but make sure that that's an element that you really pay attention to if you're going to be onboarding and hiring a new team member. Okay, and the third tip I have for you when it comes to hiring is training and retention. That's what I have written down here. Apologies, I'm just getting over a cold and like my brain isn't working quite as well as usual. So thank you for letting me look at my notes. Training and retention. So this is a big one also, right? I mean, I've worked for other companies that did a really fantastic job of onboarding, taking the time to really train people, letting them really understand, what your workplace culture and expectations are. The more time, here's the thing, you are hiring team members, right, to help you hopefully save time, make more money in your business, right? Pardon me, listen. But what I want you to know is in the beginning, you are going to have to take the time to actually train, right, these new people who are coming on board for you. So it may take a couple days or a couple weeks for them to really get into a rhythm. So be prepared that you're not just going to like get them in, they're going to be, off to the races and you're going to be leaving them all alone. And I mean, every person's different, but it's been my experience that I give it like at least a week's worth of time where I expect to be putting more time into devoting to training the new person, okay, and the expectations and what we're going through. So make sure that you're training your people properly, because again, if you don't, it will come back to bite you later on, okay, and in the form of like maybe a customer complaint or something not going right? You really want to invest and spend the time and give your people feedback, right, about the work they're doing and nurture that relationship. And by the way, I always have like a 30-day trial period with all the new people that I hire, and not just for them, but for me as well, right? So we can make sure at the end of that 30 days that it's a good fit for both parties. So I highly recommend having that written into your contract. That way you have just that time period where it's just making sure that it's still what you thought it would be. Because usually you'll know like really quickly whether or not it's a good match or a good fit with this person, right? So yeah, training and then retention, giving your new team members kind of your expectations, Potentially, like at the end of 30 days is when we have our first review, my new hires and I. And then I just do them annually, but if you want to do them more frequently, you can. I mean, usually it's like, if there's an issue for me, like we're going to communicate about it, and these formal reviews are not the time, I'm not saving everything up for formal reviews, but it is nice to lay out those expectations and let them know that, like, we are going to be kind of checking in and seeing where you're at, progress wise. And I like to keep my people challenged, right? But maybe giving them more complex things as they grow with the company and more opportunity for making more money. I know that's something a lot of people are concerned about. And I like to try to keep up with the cost of living, and also award more money based on performance too, right? So not only that, not only like just helping to retain your employees, like that's very, very left brain and logical, of course. But I enjoy developing, somewhat of a personal relationship with the people that I work with as well. So I like to go to lunch, take them to coffee, see what's going on in their lives and find out about their families, their friends, their passions. Personally, the best jobs I've ever had have been when I've had employers or managers that I could tell really cared about me as a person first. And I really want to return that favor and be that type of employer myself. And, this is just a huge reason why, if you've been sitting on the fence or thinking about hiring someone, you're not sure if you can afford it. You're not sure if you're worthy of the help, right? These are all the things that can bubble up. You're afraid, right, to put that new expense on the profit and loss sheet at the end of the month. The thing is that our world needs more amazing employers, right? Who wouldn't love to work for an employer that wants to nurture a relationship with them, that really cares about training them properly, really cares about finding someone who's aligned and giving them regular employment? I think we underestimate how important that is in our societies and in our communities. And we really need more women leaders, okay? So I want to encourage you to, if you're thinking about it, just take the leap. I mean, the worst that can happen is it doesn't work out. You have to let the person go. And I know that might make you want to throw up in your mouth. And I've had to do it before, and it's not fun. Oftentimes, though, I think that you'll find if you run into those situations, the feelings are almost mutual. Like, the other person may not say it, but if someone's not performing or it's not a good fit, energetically, you're not the only one that's going to feel that. Okay. It just means it wasn't meant to be. And let me tell you, the fear that can come up in those situations, once you move past it, you learn like how brave and powerful you actually are, to steer your business and yourself as a business leader in the right direction, right? And just become more empowered for the next person you're going to hire. Okay. So I just want to give you a little rah-rah of, if you're thinking about hiring and you need the help, there's a really great process you can follow to make sure that you are hiring someone that turns out hopefully to be a really good fit for your company. And like I said, either helps you bring in more revenue or helps free you up, so that you can, spend more time in your personal life or your health. So you can show up as a business leader better, spend more time, actually being the visionary and, taking action to move your company forward, right? Because if you're always just hustling and grinding and working in your business every single day, then you never have a chance to do any of those things, right? And I'm a really big believer in helping women entrepreneurs become the CEOs, right? The leaders of their company, and not just be a solopreneur where you're just trading your W-2 day job for a new job in your own company. I really like to see women become that CEO, so that you can help our communities and by hiring other people, by providing really great goods or services, right? Things like that. So if you're interested in learning more about, developing a CEO mindset, taking those CEO actions, and really planning for more of a CEO lifestyle where you're going to be making more money, actually working less, right, and living more, I'd love it if you join us in our CEO Circle membership. There's always a link in my caption below to learn more about Bloom or our CEO Circle. And if you just found value in this video, if you could give me that hit that subscribe button. Let me know if you liked this video or if there's other videos like it that you would like to watch. I'd really appreciate it. And I'm really glad that you were here for this week's heart-to-heart video. And I was able to share some of these details with you. Hiring is something I'm really, really passionate about, especially for women entrepreneurs. Once you make that first hire, yeah, it's kind of hard to go back. And you'll see like a whole new world will open up for you and your business. And I would like to make one last little side note, which is something I'd also like to encourage women entrepreneurs out there to do, is not only hire in your business, but hire in your personal life. And this may be something that you don't think about at first. And it's something I've really had to like grow into step by step. But I've now hired dog walkers, house cleaners. I just hired a personal assistant, which is what made me think about doing this video. Because especially as a working mom, like there's just so many responsibilities that come along with being a woman entrepreneur. And, you know, there's all these kind of silent expectations, right? That men may not necessarily have in their families, in their households, that, especially in this post-pandemic world, I don't know about you, if you're watching this, if you're a working mom, but, you know, have fallen upon my shoulders. And even though like we're in the post-pandemic world and schools are open and all the things, it's like somehow those expectations of me doing all the things that I was doing when I was homeschooling my kids during that time period still continue. Okay, and I know I'm not alone in this. I know I'm not the only one. And even if COVID was a breeze for you and you don't have children, whatever, just the power that comes along with getting help in your personal life and being nurtured in that way, it just frees up so much energy, creativity, space, and time for you to really do what you're best at, right? Which is running a successful company, or companies in my case. So here we are at the end of this week's Heart to Heart. I hope you found value, and I hope to see you next week in our Heart to Heart video. Aloha.